So you have to admit that the conversation that surrounds the percentage cuts that these platforms make is one that's a little interesting. If you're looking at things from an economic and business perspective, it's one that, in a sense can draw your attention. So let's go ahead and kind of set a few things up. Number one, Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox take about 30% cut for any game that's sold from an external publisher on their platform. In some instances, like in Steam's case, after a certain amount of sales, that number goes down to about 20%. And say, if you look at the Activision Blizzard King acquisition, that 30% fee was negotiated to 20%. That's what PlayStation gets for their 10-year deal in order for them to not freak out that somewhere, somehow, Xbox was going to go ahead and make the game exclusive. Now that we've put that in perspective, I want to show you guys a comment that really does help us see that we need to talk about these things as time go on. This individual said Steam and PlayStation gets 30% cuts without lifting a finger. This is based on my video where I said, if you think about it, now that Xbox has what we call Stickman, which is the phenomenon of a game that has more viewers, more players, and generates more revenue than expensive single player $300 million games, and Xbox having a number of them has put them in front of PlayStation by a huge margin in terms of something that PlayStation is looking to try to get, which is live service games that helps it to generate revenue. And the audience member said, they said, and this is a $69 billion brilliant plan, which is to give more money to the competitor, LOL. Now, first of all, 30% is not the number as, we know it anymore. Based on the Activision trial, that percentage fee was 20%. So since Xbox actually got that deal, they now basically have taken an extra 10% of potential revenue from PlayStation. Now, even if they didn't negotiate 20% and it's still 30%, $70 billion that they paid was for them to be able to get not only 30%, which they'd been getting from the game in the past, but to now get 70% in, say, some cases, and then in other cases, 100% revenue. So this deal actually put them in a really cool place. The final piece of the puzzle is this. Activision Blizzard King is an asset. Some people are still misconstrued as to how that actually is positioned and that actually works, because this asset, if Xbox got to a point where it didn't want anything to do with it anymore, it can sell it and recover its funds back. It can even recover its expenses that it had to actually put in when, they finally acquired everything and their HR and all the expenses were taken into account. This is, in my opinion, the very critical portion of this conversation that, for the most part, because everybody wants to make it seem like their platform is winning, it, kind of in a sense wants to almost ignore the reality that we have here. Now, here's the thing. I know some of you think that, I'm an Xbox fanboy and whatnot. No, I'm not. I think one of the craziest things that I saw today was somebody said that this channel was an echo chamber for PC owners. I was shocked. I was like, what? This is the first time that someone has actually said something, in that regard anyways. Now, yeah, some people have said something about, me being a PC player and all, but this one really did surprise me. So I'm glad that people are getting closer and closer to the truth at heart. Number one, I've played on PlayStation for a long time. And so for those who say, oh, he's an Xbox fan or whatever it is, like someone called me a former PlayStation player. And I'm like, bruh, my PlayStation Plus just expired like last month. Like, chill. I've been on this platform and I don't intend to go anywhere. I'm just critiquing the platform and I'm not interested in kowtowing to, the company just like everybody else does. The media, everybody just sits here and sings PlayStation's praises when in reality, the market is leaving them behind and they're not responding and providing value for their audiences. For the most part, they had depended on Call of Duty for a very long time. And now it's time for them to basically find a way to innovate. What are they doing? These are questions that we're looking to see if they will answer at the end of the day. With all this being said, how is PlayStation responding? Because it's one thing to say that Xbox is doing this or Xbox is in this position. It's also another thing to be able to see if we can correlate what this is doing by seeing how PlayStation is responding to their moves or the current market situation. And that's very simple to see. I don't know when it was. It was somewhere maybe around the time that they were doing all of the heckling for the Activision Blizzard thing, when Xbox wanted to acquire it and PlayStation wanted to block it. We saw news that actually did indicate exactly what PlayStation's biggest deficiency is, which is live service games that are profitable. Now, this is where we've also seen them show their true colors, or at least have a very significant challenge. Not once, but twice. This article here written July 14th, 2023, says Sony to allocate 60% of PlayStation game development spending towards live service games. A lot of people talked about it in different ways. Some put it as $2.1 billion in gaming R&D. It came under different titles. If you look here on Google, you'll see that it was written about by different outlets in order to showcase that PlayStation was coming out with the plan to try to get themselves a live service game. Now, why would they want to do this? Well, number one, Xbox is now in the lead in terms of owning 2 or even 3 of the biggest live service games that are out there in the shooter category. Now, I'm not talking about overall, but I'm talking about in the shooter category. So if you think about, say, something like Matt Piscatella's Circana documentation that he puts out every, single, 2-3 week cycle, and you will see that on the list, the biggest games here that are being played are Call of Duty, Fortnite, GTA 5, NBA, Roblox, in some cases, EA's soccer games, Madden, Minecraft, Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, which is also an Xbox game at this moment, if you think about it. So now we have Overwatch, we have Minecraft, and we have Call of Duty. So Xbox has 3 in this category, and a huge number as well. I would say, let me say a significant number in other categories that are not even as big as this. And when I say that PlayStation actually did not, in my opinion anyways, strike while it was hot in 2 opportunities were namely Helldivers 2 and Concord. With Helldivers 2, there was a wonderful opportunity there. I was super excited for them to actually come in with their own live service game and actually do good work. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. I know for most of you, it's not easy to hear these things, but you do not want Xbox to actually dominate the market. I'm only here pointing out what's going on, and PlayStation requires a response. It's trying to respond, but at the end of the day, PlayStation is getting in its own way. Look at the data for PC market. PC has Helldivers at number 3. Helldivers was very popular on the PC platform. It finally cracked like number 30 actually on this list. I think somebody asked Matt Piscatella and said, hey man, where does Helldivers actually rank for the PlayStation side? And he said it was ranking at number 27, which is just wild. Why would PlayStation, go ahead and hamper a game that was already doing well on their platform by basically first barring the game from being able to be purchased in other countries after they'd allowed for it to be purchased in other countries, and then secondly, after the game had launched, requiring a PlayStation Plus account for gamers on PC to play. This by itself harmed their own game. You know what's crazy? Some people have chalked me actually talking about this to, oh, you're mad because, PlayStation is requiring this. I didn't buy Helldivers 2. I wasn't going to play it. I wasn't interested in playing it. I was playing other games, but I saw the opportunity, and I'm sure a lot of people did see the opportunity. Now, how do the PC players feel about this? Well, it's very simple. Most of them have decided that they're not going to deal with any Sony game from now henceforth. Most of them have decided that they're not going to play Helldivers 2 anymore from now henceforth. However, even with their decision, it's still obvious that the game is very popular. So if PlayStation actually wants to go ahead and get what we're now calling its Stickman being the RDC World parody name for the game that, is developed with a small amount of money, but is bringing in all of this, income compared to the very expensive games, they really need to step it up. They need to wake up and they need to see where their opportunities are. Another thing that's also holding them back as well, too, is the way players are actually resonating with their games. This is a very big deal for them. And to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, I strongly believe that if they're not, ready to actually deal with this, then for the most part, this is going to be, a very long journey for them. And this is what they've decided to do on the PlayStation side. They've decided to barrage their audiences with about 12 live service games. I mean, this is a reality. 12 of them. Some people have said it's too excessive, but I think they're truly trying to find the one that sticks. If you look at this subreddit here, someone said this was a year ago when we got the news. Someone said 12 live service games seem way too excessive. I know all of them aren't going to be in the same genre, but I still feel like it's going to fragment the player bases. There are only so many people that can stick to one game, let alone multiple games. So it's either they're able to crack this market or they're, perpetually blocked out for the long run, which is absolutely detrimental to them. Why is it detrimental to them? Or should I say detrimental? Which gives them a disadvantage? I shouldn't say detrimental. There are other ways that they can go around by, to do this stuff. But the reason it gives them a disadvantage is simply because this is a piece of the market that their own competitor that they're beating in console sales is pretty much winning at. And it's the most important piece. It really is. The console sales have never really been the most important piece. This is why third-party publishers have been able to survive for years. So Xbox pretty much leveraging its own third-party side and making tons of money from there is fine and comfortable. And even comfortable to the point where they're going to continue services like Game Pass, which is absolutely a player drain on any platform that they are. This is pretty much what we're talking about. So saying that PlayStation isn't lifting a finger and making 30% is not where PlayStation, I think, wants to be. I think PlayStation would like to be in the position where they have like a Call of Duty or so. And when we talk about this stuff, we can provide the data and the evidence, but sometimes it devolves into where people say things like, your logic is so flawed. Are you okay? Did you hit your head? I'm over here just pointing the message. And some people want to, pretty much tell the messenger that he hit his head and his logic is flawed and he's not okay, which is just weird. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Talk to me in the comment section and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.